Episode 3 Whiplash After a Car Crash. Why just a little stiff still matters. Intro. The I'm fine lie after a crash. Welcome back to the After Injuries podcast. If you're listening to this, there's a fair chance you've had one of those moments where your life is suddenly split into before and after. And it happened in a few seconds at an intersection or on the highway. Maybe you were rear-ended at a stoplight. Maybe traffic stopped in front of you and someone behind you didn't. You got out, you moved around, you told everyone, "I'm fine, it's just a little stiff." Then the next morning, or 2 days later, your neck feels like concrete. Maybe you've got a headache that wasn't there before. Maybe turning to check your blind spot suddenly feels like a big deal. Nothing in this episode is meant to diagnose you or replace an in-person exam. I'm Tom, the producer, and we help injured people cut through AI and search and social noise to match with the right local chiropractor for their specific injury. We do that because we work directly with chiropractors and also personal injury law firms, helping them market themselves to patients just like you with these same injuries for years. Today we're going to talk about whiplash and post-crash neck pain, and specifically why, quote, just a little stiff, unquote, is exactly the wrong reason to ignore what your body is trying to tell you. We'll walk through what whiplash actually is in plain language, what symptoms often start mild and get worse later, how to search for a chiropractor who actually works with crash-related neck injuries, how to qualify crash-related neck injury chiropractors quickly, and what questions to ask so you don't waste time or end up with the wrong kind of care. Section 1. What whiplash really is. And it's not just sore muscles. Let's start with what we mean when we say whiplash. Whiplash isn't a single thing your doctor sees on an x-ray. It's a pattern of injury that happens when your head and neck are thrown back and forth quickly, like in a rear-end collision, a sudden stop, or a side impact. That motion can strain the joints in your neck, the ligaments that help hold those joints together, the muscles and soft tissues that support your head, and in some cases, the discs and nerves. This is why symptoms can be all over the place. For some people, it's mostly neck pain and stiffness. For others, it's headaches, pain between the shoulder blades, jaw tightness, dizziness, feeling foggy, feeling tired. Here's the part that tricks a lot of people. Right after the crash, your system is full of adrenaline. You're focused on the car, the other driver, the logistics. You might move your neck around and think, that's not that bad. Then you go home. You sleep for hours and your body finally gets a chance to react. Inflammation kicks in. Muscles go into guard mode and suddenly you realize, oh, this is worse than I thought. That delay doesn't mean nothing serious happened. It just means your body took a little time to show you the picture. Section 2. Why ignoring, quote, mild, unquote, whiplash can backfire. Because the pain doesn't usually hit like a lightning bolt, it's easy to talk yourself out of getting checked. You might think, well, I can still move my neck, so I'm fine. Or, I don't want to make a big deal out of this. Or, the ER said I didn't break anything, so I'll just walk it off. The problem is that early on, whiplash is often more about soft tissue and joint irritation than broken bones. Emergency rooms are there to rule out life-threatening stuff, fractures, brain injuries that are serious, things that'll kill you if they're missed. And that's important, but that doesn't mean the finer details of how your neck moves and feels have been fully checked. And if you shrug it off because it's just a little pain, or it's, quote, not that bad, unquote, you might keep moving in ways that keep irritating the same tissues. You might sit, sleep, and work in positions that slow healing. You might only notice how limited you've become weeks later when everything is stiffened up and the pain is now part of your daily life. Getting evaluated early, even when symptoms feel mild, is not about drama, it's about direction. Is this likely to settle with the right kind of conservative care? Or are there any warning signs that say we need imaging or we need another kind of specialist involved? What should you be doing and not doing over the next few weeks? You don't have to wait until you can't turn your head to deserve those answers. Section 3. Searching Smart. How to find a post-crash chiropractor. Let's talk about finding someone who actually understands crash-related neck injuries. Most people, again, start with chiropractor near me or best chiropractor in fill in your city, or even walk-in chiropractor. Those searches are okay if you're just looking for maintenance or general back care. But after a car crash, you're not looking for generic. You're looking for someone who deals with whiplash and post-crash neck pain, delayed onset symptoms, coordination with other providers when needed. So instead, think in 3 pieces. For your searches, this is how we're going to put it together. First, what happened? Car accident, rear end, crash. Come up with the words. What happened? Then what's going on? Whiplash, neck pain, stiffness, headaches, jaw pain. Come up with the words. You just need what's happened and what's going on so far. And then where are you? What city did this car accident, rear end crash situation that's created whiplash or neck pain or headaches or jaw aches? Was it St. Louis? Was it Dallas? Was it Miami? And that's the whole recipe. So here are some search phrases you can literally type. Car accident, chiropractor, whiplash, Philly, or your city. Or chiropractor, neck pain, after rear end crash, Cherry Hill. Or whiplash, treatment, chiropractor, Fort Myers. Or chiropractor, headaches, after car accident, fill in the blank. You can also include the word injury, auto injury chiropractor, neck pain, and then fill in your city. What this does is push the results towards chiropractors who actually mention car accidents, whiplash, neck injuries, and post-crash care on their websites and business profiles or provider profiles, instead of just back pain and wellness. Section 4. What to look for on a whiplash-savvy chiropractor's site. So after you run those searches, you'll see maps, star ratings and reviews, websites, maybe some ads. Don't choose just from the map. Click through a few options and look for these things. First, do they clearly mention car accidents and whiplash? You want to see phrases like auto injury, car accident, whiplash, post-collision neck pain, headaches after a crash. That's a sign they actually see these patients often. Second, do they explain their evaluation process? A post-crash neck exam should be more than, where does it hurt? Look for any descriptions of taking a detailed history of the crash and your symptoms, or checking range of motion, checking strength and neurologic signs, knowing when imaging or another opinion is appropriate. The third thing to look for is, do they talk about early care, not just long-term maintenance? Does this chiropractor understand the first few weeks after a crash? Managing pain and stiffness, protecting healing tissue, planning follow-up, not just selling a long-term wellness package. And do their reviews sound like people who've been in crashes like yours? Scan the reviews. Look for words like rear-ended, car accident, whiplash, sideswiped, neck and headaches. Look for the phrase helped me after my crash. Those stories tell you a lot. Do they mention working with other providers? It's a good sign if they're comfortable saying, we refer out when, or we work with your medical doctor or imaging center. That shows they understand their role on a team. If a site never mentions accidents, injuries, or whiplash, it doesn't mean they're bad. It just means you have no evidence they're the right match for your specific situation. Section 5. Your simple checklist before you book this chiro appointment for whiplash. Once you've found a couple of chiropractors who look like possibilities, run this quick checklist. First, they clearly say that they see car accident or whiplash patients. They talk about an actual evaluation, not just we adjust everyone the same way. They give some sense of what early care looks like the first few visits, not just the 6-month plan. There have to be at least a few reviews from people who sound like you after a crash. And they seem comfortable referring out or ordering imaging or calling in other specialists when needed. If most of these are true, you've probably got a pretty great candidate. If almost none of them are true, that's a sign to keep looking. Section 6. What to ask on the phone so you don't guess. Now, before you commit, call the office. You do not need to impress anybody. Read these questions straight from your notes or from the guide that's available in the link below this episode. You can say first, do you regularly see people with whiplash or neck pain after car accidents? You're listening for, yes, we see that a lot. Second, ask, what does your first visit look like for someone who was in a crash and has neck pain or headaches? A solid answer to that question mentions taking your history, doing an exam, possibly reviewing urgent care or ER notes if you have them. Third question is, if you think I need imaging or another type of specialist, how do you handle that? And you want to hear that they have a plan for when to refer out. Not that they handle everything themselves, no matter what. And the fourth question is, what should I expect in the first few weeks of care? Look for a reasonable plan. How often they'd like to see you at first, what the goals are, and how they'll track progress. If the person on the other end gets impatient, vague, or overly salesy, That is useful information. You're trusting them with your neck. You're allowed to be picky. Section 4. Jesus. And don't forget, there's a handy step-by-step guide to qualify a chiropractor for this case in the link below the episode. Now, Section 7. What good care looks like in the first few weeks. If you pick a chiropractor who's used to seeing whiplash patients, the first few weeks usually feel more structured and less mysterious. You can expect some version of an early days plan, a short-term plan, and checkpoints along the way. Your early days look like figuring out what movements trigger your pain and which ones are safe. Gentle care to help reduce pain and stiffness. Advice on how to sleep, sit, and move so you're not constantly re-irritating the same tissues. The short-term plan includes a specific number of visits over a small window. It could be a few weeks. This is not the forever plan. The short-term plan rechecks to see if your range of motion, pain levels, and function are changing. And the short-term plan exists to make suggestions for light movement or exercises as you're ready. Checkpoints include clear signs of progress that they're looking for. Checkpoints should also include a plan for what happens if those signs aren't there, which goes back to, are they comfortable referring out and do they know when to do so? Good care does not mean you're pain-free in a week. It means you're not drifting. Someone is paying attention, adjusting the plan, and keeping an eye out for anything that doesn't fit the usual pattern. Here's our whiplash after a crash FAQ. Question 1. Do I really need to see someone if my neck is just a little stiff? If your symptoms started after a crash, especially a rear-end collision, even mild stiffness is worth a proper look. Early evaluation helps catch problems before they set in and gives you a plan instead of a wait-and-see guess. And question 2. The ER said nothing was broken. Does that mean I'm fine? Well, as discussed, nothing broken is good news, but it doesn't mean soft tissue and joint injuries aren't there. Injury departments are focused on ruling out life-threatening issues. Do follow up with someone who actually works with whiplash. It's a smart move. Question 3, how long does whiplash usually take to get better? And of course, it varies. Some people improve over a few weeks, others need far more time, especially if symptoms were ignored, or if there were other injuries on top of the neck problem. The more guided and consistent your early care is, the better your chances of a smoother recovery. Question 4, can I go to a chiropractor if I've already seen urgent care or my family doctor? Yes. It's a good combination. Your doctor helps rule out emergencies and can handle medications. A chiropractor who works with whiplash can focus on your neck mechanics, movement, and ongoing recovery. Question 5, what if I start feeling worse a few days after the crash? That's actually common. If you notice pain or stiffness building over the first few days, new headaches, or new movement limits, that's exactly when it makes sense to get evaluated instead of waiting weeks and hoping it just disappears. In closing, we ask that you listen when your neck says it's just a little stiff. And if you remember nothing else from this episode, remember just a little stiff after a car crash is your body asking for attention, not telling you everything is fine. Your next step isn't to panic. It's use smarter searches to find someone who deals with whiplash, scan their site for real crash experience, call Ask a few clear questions and book with the provider who treats people like you every week. You do not have to wait until you can't turn your head. You just have to decide your neck is important enough to deserve more than a shrug. Thank you for joining us on After Injuries Podcasts. Please like and/or subscribe on our YouTube channels. That's After Injuries on YouTube, After Injuries Podcast, and afterinjuries.com. And if you are a multi-location chiropractor office, you can contact us through the After Injuries Podcast website, or you can do an audit of your own office authority as the local expert in your case types by visiting visible.info. Connecting your Google business setup without sharing passwords and running an audit of your authority in key lanes. That's visible.info.